Good afternoon and welcome to Midday Live with me, AC Benewa Otu. Let's look at the top stories now. And President Akufo-Addo congratulates voters in 6 new proposed regions for the dignified, peaceful manner they exercise their franchise and constitutional rights. Meanwhile, Electoral Commission warns no person would be shielded as investigations begin into alleged malpractice during voting for the proposed 6 regions. In other top stories, finance expert says impact of bank failures was harder on the non-bank financial institutions. And in news elsewhere, Nigeria ruling party launches President Buhari's re-election campaign. Details of all these and more, including sports and entertainment, all coming up in the next 1 hour. My name is AC Benewa Otu. Let's look at our very first story. President Akufo-Addo has congratulated voters in the 6 new proposed regions soon to be created for the dignified, peaceful manner in which they exercise their franchise and constitutional rights. The regions include Ahafo, Bono East, North East, Otis, Savannah, and Western North. In a statement, the president also thanked members of the Brobe Commission, led by the noted jurist Justice S.A. Brobe, for the thorough and painstaking work the commission did, which resulted in the recommendations that received overwhelming popular endorsement. On Thursday, 27 December 2018, Ghanaians in some affected parts of the country turned out in their numbers to give virtually unanimous assent to the reorganization of the nation's regional governance structure. Well, so let's stay on this particular issue. Let's get on the phone lines and speak with local governance experts George Che Bafo on this particular issue. Good afternoon, Mr. Bafo. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon, Eddie, and thanks for having me.
Well, so what will be your initial remarks on the referendum?
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Bafo. Can you hear me now? Hello? Well, we seem to have lost him on the line. We'll try and raise him and bring him back. But meanwhile, still on this matter, let's get to the issue where Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, has warned no person will be shielded as investigations begin into alleged malpractice during voting for the proposed 6 regions. She was speaking at a press conference here in Accra.
Voter turnout, according to the Commission, was overwhelming as the 50% voter turnout and 80% consent were met. The Commission was also of the view that the turnout was also due to the fact that many were eager to have new regions created.
Permit me on behalf of the Commission to express our sincere appreciation to stakeholders who have contributed in diverse ways to make this referendum a success. To the dedicated and hard-working staff of the Electoral Commission, temporary electoral officers, the security agencies, the media, civil society groups, traditional rulers of the referendum enclaves, as well as voters and other unsung stakeholders who took part in this exercise. We say a big thank you to you all.
The next step will be to officially gazette the result and await the next course of action from the President. There were reports of infractions in some centers during the referendum. The Commission says it will not shield any official found to have misconducted themselves.
The attention of the Commission has been drawn to some videos circulating on social media alleging wrongdoing during the recent referendum. I think the Commission takes this seriously and has notified regional directors and the security agencies. I think it's important to emphasize that the Commission has as the hallmark of its operations the principles of fairness, integrity, and transparency in all its operations, and we are waiting to hear from our officials and the security agencies on the line of action to take.
Well, I hear George Bafo is back on the line. Hello, Mr. Bafo, you're back on the line. So my question was, what is your initial remarks with regards to the referendum?
Yeah, Ezzy, thank you very much. I think that, first of all, I am the least surprised at the outcome of the referendum, which indicates that we have had massive turnout of voters and an overwhelming yes vote for all the 6 proposed regions. It's no surprise at all. Because the Electoral Commission did a lot. Civil society, the political parties, the media, everybody played his or her part in whipping up the enthusiasm of the people to support this noble cause. Because I believe that the people have expectations that carving, a very large region into 2 was going to be ultimately beneficial to them in terms of development, in terms of relevance, in terms of proximity. And for that matter, people have done so well. I doff my heart out for the Electoral Commission for doing a very good job.
Well, so you are a governance expert. What must be the prime focus of governments, after all this? People you have said have voted overwhelmingly. What should be government's prime focus?
Well, I think that now government has to initiate the process of institutionalizing the legal framework for the establishment or the creation of the region.
Well, we seem to have lost Mr. Che Bafo on the line again. Hello. Well, so sorry about that. We have lost him again. Let's still stay on the referendum that was held last Thursday, and Minister of Regional Reorganization Dan Boche has expressed satisfaction with the conduct of referendum to create 6 new regions. Speaking with my colleague Komla Kluchi after the declaration of the OT vote result, the minister also dismissed assertions by residents of Akpafu that they were not consulted in the process.
Well, the process has been smooth. It's been good. People have cooperated. We have worked together to achieve the results. For us as a government, the issue is not the yes or no. For us, it's following the constitutional process, creating the necessary platform, the linkages, and working together with all stakeholders to this stage. That is what we are satisfied with. I have said over and over again that ours was not a particular outcome, whether people voted yes or no. That is not for us as a government our assessment, or that how we're going to be assessed. But the fact that we follow the constitutional process diligently and created the necessary platform for everybody and put the stakeholders together, and they were able to vote and express themselves. That is what we were looking for. So the success on the part of government is not the fact that everybody voted yes, no. But the fact that we're able to complete the process by the constitutional, using the constitutional process, and we have gotten to this stage.
Okay. Going forward, some people have raised concerns, for instance, in the areas of Akpafu and OT region, for instance, they said they were not consulted and all of that. Those issues that have come up. Going forward, how do you intend to bring all of them on board?
There's nothing like that. There's, Mr. President, by the Constitution, Article 5(8), will have to give issue a constitutional instrument to give effect to the results. But it should be clear. The area that is called OT has been demarcated. It is in the areas that took part in this voting. So if you read the CI 109, all those districts and areas were shown. That place, Mr. President signs, give effect to the results, is in OT region. Whether you were for it whether we are not for it. It's OT. In that case, when Trans-Volta Togolab plebiscite was being held, do you know the results? People should go and check the results of Trans-Volta Togolab, the plebiscite in 1956. Not all people voted for it, but they are in Ghana.
George Che Bafo is back on the line. Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Bafo. You're still on the line.
Yeah.
Well, so let's get this brief so that we don't lose you again. So, you know, with regards to creation of the districts, the capital towns, isn't going to be difficult, and what really must go into that?
Well,
so sorry about that. Let's do other stories away from the referendum, and the Asantehene Otumfuo said to the second wants government to ensure no individual or group of persons undertake any action likely to frustrate processes for lasting peace in Dagbon during a visit by the Andani royal family to the Menchia Palace in Kumasi. The Asantehene said he was happy about the progress made in the peace process. Here's a report by my colleague Benjamin Aidu. The Andani royal family, including children of the late Yana Yakubu Andani, visited the Menchia Palace to announce the funeral arrangements to the Asantehene. The funeral of the late Yana will take place from January 4, 2019 as part of the roadmap for peace in Dagbon. The Asantehene Otumfuo Oseitutu II said the committee of eminent chiefs will not rest until the next Yana is installed.
The committee is not going to leave you. We shall still follow up so that if there's anything that we can do to have a lasting peace, we still will collaborate with the families to make sure that that peace is born.
The Asantehene maintained Dagbon is at peace because the decision taken by the committee was devoid of any political or personal influence, but based on tradition and custom.
Both Abudus and Danis are our children, and that is how we want it to be. We don't favor anyone, but the truth, the right thing to do. There were compromises. There were times that the Andanis had to give in when the custom was there. They interpreted it, but got to a point where they had to give in. The Abudus also had to give in at a point for us to arrive at where we arrived.
Chairman of the funeral committee, Na Muhammadu Bawa, expressed gratitude to the Asantehene for his intervention for peace to reign. He, however, reiterated the need for justice.
We are really very grateful that your committee has been able to broker the peace in Dagbon and getting in place the roadmap. Implementation of the roadmap has actually been with challenges, but both sides had to do a lot of compromises to be able to arrive at today's decision. So we are very grateful to government and very grateful to your honorable committee for the human job done.
A son of the late Yana, Muhammad Al-Hassan Andani, also commended the Asantehene for his efforts to bring peace to Dagbon.
We are very much grateful to your efforts and the chief that supported you to bring out this important roadmap. We want to assure you that we will be committed to it, and whatever rule is expected of the children of the late Yana, as far as custom and traditions are concerned, we will be there to fully participate in that particular process.
And in a related development, Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority is convinced Dagbon will open a new chapter of development after the funeral of the two chiefs. Al-Hassan Tampuli said resources used in maintaining law and order in Yendi could be channeled into developing the municipality.
There's no denying the fact that the security officials that are posted here are a drain on the national economy, and part of which would have been sent to the Yendi Municipal Assembly or the Northern Regional Coordinating Council for development activities, to build schools, to build hospitals, and to construct roads and dams.
Hassan called on all sides to ensure peace prevails in Dagbon for the benefit of all.
I think that all sons and daughters of Dagbon have to pull their weight behind this exercise so that we see the closure to the conflicts. We open the doors of reconciliation we say yes to unity, and we say yes to peace and tranquility, and that those are the bases upon which we can have development.
Thousands of people who graced the occasion witnessed a display of the rich culture of the area. The Abudu Royal Gate, per the roadmap, will vacate and hand over the keys of the temporary palace to the Regional Security Council. This will then be given to the Andani Royal Gate to commence the funeral rites of Yana Yakubu Andani II, slated for January 18, 2019, to pave way for a new Yana to be installed. Away from that, the Nima Divisional Police Command has arrested 30 suspected criminals during a swoop at Nima and its environs. The 30 were suspected to be engaged in cybercrime and other related criminal activities. Here's a report by Frederick Clarence Williams. There has been an increase in internet fraud cases over the years. Though attempts have been made to curb the situation, it has grown from bad to worse. In a bid to protect lives and property, the Nima Divisional Police Command has undertaken major swoops against cyber fraudsters. Speaking at the Police Community Forum in Accra, Nima Divisional Police Commander Chief Superintendent Abraham Akoy said the command last week arrested 30 suspected criminals engaging in cyber fraud and other related criminal activities.
We have closed down a few of the cafes, and we are still in the process of closing down those who are not complying with the directives given by the Assembly.
He stressed the Nima Police Command will team up with residents to form neighborhood watch committees to curb criminal activities in the area.
We have brought them back, and we are still in the process of rescreening, because it's not everybody who has good intention. Sometimes some of the criminals take advantage of this to also infiltrate the ranks of this neighborhood watch. So we are in the process of vetting and screening them, and those who have good records will be conscripted and made part of the neighborhood watch.
Chief Superintendent Abraham called on the public to volunteer information on suspected criminal activities and suspicious characters. Ayawaso East Municipal Chief Executive Salma Adams reiterated government's commitment to support the police tackle crime in the area.
We are going to do a security post at Nima, and then the police will be patrolling the area, so it will be better.
The Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection plans to move children on the streets of Accra to a shelter. The move, according to Minister Cynthia Morrison, is to help nurture them to become responsible adults for the country.
The rise in the number of street children in Accra has become a source of concern. Most of these children have moved from various towns and villages across the country to seek greener pastures. Many end up joining gangs that engage in all forms of social vices. The Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Cynthia Morrison, says her ministry has plans to embark on a nationwide exercise to move all children from the streets, starting from Accra.
Right in front of Marina Mall, you see 14, 15, 16-year-old boys, more than 40 lying on the street. And sometimes around 11 p.m., you see them roaming on the street. What are they going to turn to? They're going to turn into rogues. They're going to turn into whatever we don't want them to be. And at the end of the day, they are going to come back to us and attack us. Apart from them coming to attack us, they are children that we nurtured 9 months in our womb and brought them out. Why should they be on the street? If it is poverty, we'll pick them up and then give them a place to stay, give them food to eat. We have a shelter now, so we're going to move them out of the street.
Meanwhile, 618 beneficiaries of the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty LEAP program in 21 communities within the Agona West municipality have received funds. The disbursement was supervised by the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Cynthia Morrison.
Those who are collecting on behalf of their parents, they are using that money to trade, and out of that trade, and that is what we expect, that is what we want. They use that money to trade, and then in return they take care of their parents. I also believe that looking at the quantum individually looks small, but the total amount that we are disbursing in this country is so huge. We will still go on the drawing board and think about it, whether we can just increase a little. I can't promise that. I'm not saying that we are going to increase, but whether we can increase and give them a good life.
Beneficiaries received from 64 cities to 106 cities depending on the number of dependents. Some of the beneficiaries spoke with TV3 News.
I sell dried plantain leaves for wrapping kenkey, and I make 3 cedis a day. So this money given to me will help in my upkeep. I am taking the money on behalf of my son who is suffering from stroke. The money will support in buying his medications.
The Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty LEAP program was established in 2008 by government to help alleviate poverty.
Let's now get to the Volta region, where the chiefs and people of Kpalime, a traditional area in the South Dai district, and the ancestral home Kpalime, Togo, are to work together to promote the development of the area. A 10-member interim committee is already in place to come up with viable modalities.
The people of the area are believed to have migrated to their present location from Noche in the Republic of Togo. This was to escape the tyranny of Togbe Agokoli, the king of Noche. They were said to have first settled in Kpalime, Togo, before a section including the Vagba, Pale, Todome, Chate, Hiama moved on to their present location in the Volta region. None of the 8 communities has a health facility. Road network are deplorable as women and children trek ice in search of potable water. In a bid to foster close ties and to promote development, indigents of the 2 areas in Ghana and Togo have pledged to work together. The paramount chief of Bagba speaking about the modalities in the cross-border deal.
Both education, commerce or trade, then developing our own structures over there so that truly we are one people.
The chief of Parliament Togo, Togbiho, pledged their preparedness to partner their Ghanaian counterparts for accelerated development. Chairman of Parliament Youth Association, Emmanuel Amwa, saw the move as a necessary socio-economic development agenda.
Moreover, we are trying to unite each other to help others to at least get a job to do. So I think the festival is okay.
Roxin Nelson Dafiamakbo is a member of Parliament for South Day.
We have been divided by our colonial heritage. Now we have been calling on our chiefs to take progressive steps to make sure that they help government, central government, in bringing development to their respective areas. So if the Kpali chiefs have decided to do this, I am in full support of what they do.
The new deal is expected to strengthen existing cultural exchange between the 2 Parliament traditional areas. The 2 areas are also considering a proposal for a common traditional festival dubbed Balikpakpa to chart progressive routes towards accelerated development.
This is Midday Live with me, AC Benewa Otu. Let's get to the health sector, where erratic water supply at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital is now the leading cause of patients' escape. At least 6 patients go missing on days when inmates have to go in search of water outside their wards. Deputy Director of Nursing Services Emmanuel Papu told Peter Kwao Adato the facility is still struggling to buy drugs for patients.
The Accra Psychiatric Hospital was in the news at the same time last year over shortage of drugs and other medical consumables. Nurses, we were told, had to rush to nearby pharmacies for medication. Poor infrastructure and conditions of service for staff and feeding of inmates remain major challenges confronting the facility. The erratic supply of drug persists. Officials say the situation sometimes gets out of hand, resulting in patients relapsing if staffs are unable to get the required drugs on time. But of major concern now is water supply. Appeals to the Ghana Water Company to improve water supply to the health facility over the years is yet to yield any positive results. Only one of the hospital's 3 mechanized boreholes is functioning. Inmates have to leave their wards to this storage tank for water, a situation officials say lead to rampant escape.
So we appeal if Ghana and Water Company will also come here to assist us with our water problem. You know, most of the patients here, they came with relatives, but they don't have relatives. It's the hospital and the people like the churches, you see, they have been helping us to care for the patient.
Commissioned in 1906, the Accra Psychiatric Hospital has not received any major facelift. The roofs are weak as other metal fittings have become rusty.
Government is playing its part, but it's not enough. Because as at now, we have about 400 patients. Out of this number, you will not even get 1/3 of the relatives to visit them. So it's the hospital, the government, and the churches who are helping us to take care of them.
Church groups like the West Volta Presbytery Women Fellowship have stepped in.
Every woman to take up the responsibility of the less privileged. The little that you give out will push them forward. So with this, I think it will be well.
The group has refurbished the female reservation ward, a pavilion, and sanitary facilities for nurses.
Because through that, you know that you have to share what you have. Through that, you know you have to bring hope to those who have no hope. You have to bring joy to those who otherwise may not be too joyful because of one circumstance or another.
In addition, the groups presented assorted food items and toiletries to the inmates.
Stay with us. We take a break here. We are back with more stories. And business course of financial institutions and other big businesses are in discussions with traditional leaders of Sefuyuoso for land to set up offices for their branches. Coordinator of the Western North Secretariat, Lieutenant Colonel Edu Hene, says the move would create more employment.
Coordinator of the Western North Secretariat, Lieutenant Colonel Edu Hene, disclosed businesses have started showing interest in setting up big offices at Sefuyuoso.
Even though the region has not come, banks have started coming here looking for land to build their branches. It means that when the region comes, there will be jobs for the undergraduates here, there will be jobs for drivers, there will be jobs for cleaners. So obviously, it's going to bring development.
When TV3 went around Seshi, Gina said there were new buildings springing up while other offices were undergoing renovation works.
Cocoa farmers want government to increase the producer price of the commodity to keep them in production. They contend efforts to involve the youth in cocoa production will be enhanced when income generation from the sector is attractive. A report by Benjamin Adu.
The cocoa farmers say their investments in production would pay off when the producer price of cocoa is increased. According to the cocoa farmers, a good pricing regime would encourage young people to venture into cocoa farming. 53-year-old Apio Jemfi is the coordinator of 100-acre jack farm at Daba. He complained farmers are not getting adequate support from government.
In Ghana, we are not doing our best because in other countries like Ivory Coast, an acre, you're supposed to get almost about 20 bucks per acre, 20 to 30 bucks. But here, a best farm, you can only get about 10 bucks, 8 to 9 bucks, which is not enough.
Another cocoa farmer, 75-year-old Akwesi Asemimpasa, believes a good producer price would help attract young people into the sector. Meanwhile, some licensed cocoa buying companies have been narrating challenges facing the cocoa sector. The general manager of Unicom Commodities Ghana Limited, Onyina Echampong Akwesi Jemfi, is concerned about the pricing of the commodity.
The average farm size is about 1.5 to 2 hectares, which translates into about 3.5 acres or to 5 acres. And then the average family size is also around 5 people per household for a farmer. So you realize that the yield cannot support the farmers. So the farm size is a challenge. Getting access to land to farm is always a challenge.
Managing Director of Ejumapa Buyers, Alhaji Ali Isaka, who chairs the Association of Cocoa Licensed Buying Companies, acknowledged unfair business practices among the LBCs.
Some you see them even on lorry stations making all sort of announcement. You give me a bag of cocoa, I give you 10 cedis. Then you wonder, where is he getting it from? All along, LBCs are complaining about low margins and the rest. In our laws, you can't put a scale in a car and move around it. But somewhere along the line, people manage to get it into their system, and the regulator maybe didn't see it. Maybe Cocoa Board needs to take the step a little further and prevent LBCs from directing where cocoa should go.
UT and Capital banks were taken over by GCB Bank Limited due to insolvency. Then Consolidated Bank was formed out of liquidated Unibank, BH Bank, Construction Sovereign and Royal Banks. According to Director of Business Operations at Delex Finance and Lazin Joe, the impact of the bank failures was harder on the non-bank financial institutions.
The banking sector cleanup cost government in excess of 12.7 billion cedis of public funds.
Outside the very top banks, things are dicey. Outside the very strong institutions, there are challenges. Unfortunately, despite the best intentions of the central bank, it seems like they have not been able to calm down the situation. And it's my fear is that it's going to get worse rather than better. The financial sector as a whole has a problem. The non-bank is in deep crisis because the non-banks are typically owned by Ghanaians, owner-managed, and so you find that all the things I've talked about are actually worse in the non-banks. And at the moment, only the strongest non-banks are surviving and are working well. So the non-banks have suffered worse than the general financial sector.
In entertainment, the much publicized Beam Concert 2018 came off Friday night, December 28, at the Fantasy Dome inside Trade Fair in Accra. 2015 BET Award winner Stonebwoy, Morgan Heritage, Sarkodie Samini, among others, thrilled thousands of fans who thronged to the trade fair.
It was indeed a wonderful night as every fan present felt the spirit of good reggae and dancehall vibes. The huge and devoted fan base at the auditorium went to watch screaming as the BIM Nation president made a spectacular appearance on stage. Stonebwoy opened the concert with his back-to-back reggae composed hit songs. Nothing could stop the die-hard fans from singing along. Then came the introduction of Jamaican music group and Grammy Award winners Morgan Heritage. They gave out their best with great songs. The night also saw an amazing performance from a list of artists built for the concert. Sistefia, Medical, Kiddy, Kwesi Arthur, Trigmatic, among others, rocked the night. Rapper Sarkodie also made his mega appearance, acknowledging the hard works of Stonebwoy in sending Ghana to the world with good music.
Because Stonebwoy, don't let it stop right here. Spread the word and keep the good works out. God bless everybody.
Stonebwoy's BIM concert was one of a kind, with a lot of surprises popping out on the night. Samini, Adam and other industry players saluted Stonebwoy for an impressive showmanship.
He has to be proud of himself. I'm also proud of him for continuing to try to be better as a human being, better as an artist, and always trying to outdo himself. So
Stonebwoy wanted to fill the dome, and he definitely filled the dome to my expectation and to my satisfaction. So I like what I'm seeing so far. I like the ambience, I like the energy. Tell from the audience, you see here that Stonebwoy obviously appeals to both the streets and the corporate, which is what we've always stood for. The crowd here tells you the kind of following that Stonebwoy has, and that alone is a plus to an artist's brand.
Amazed by the turn-up, the Beam Nation boss expressed his appreciation to his devoted fan base nationwide.
God for giving us life once again for today, and the people's reception is amazing. It gives me a lot of joy and a lot of happiness to continue to do songs that will make them laugh, songs that will bring emotions, and songs that will teach them and teach me in all as well.
Promised me that you were going to fill the dome, and you did it.
It's obvious. It's obvious. We said we're going to fill it. And to me, it wasn't about filling the dome. It's about gathering my people. You know what I mean? Asking my people to come with a hashtag as a challenge. And they came.
What statement with this concert are you putting out there to Ghanaians?
The statement, right? This concert has put out there. This statement is one that is not supposed to be said. This statement is an obvious statement. This statement is one that all eyes have beheld and have seen and are going to be witnesses of. So let this statement be said. So I'm forever grateful. The Beam concert 2018 was real. Big love. Next year again.
And the Manchagbona Park in Jamestown came alive Friday night as dancehall star Shatta Wale climaxed a successful year with a concert. The show, dubbed Thanksgiving Concert, ended at 6:30 a.m. Saturday. Here are some highlight sights and sounds from the program. Well, successful concerts over there, and that's ended for the Midday News with me, AC Benewa Otu. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good afternoon.